I often have people come to me in my work where their lives are pretty good. They've got good, full lives. Their work is great. They do well at work. They have a great family life. They're not looking for more in those areas, and everything is more or less full. But this one area in their lives is a constant bane. This thing that they just can't get handled. This has probably got a lot to do with it, right? Is the fact that we have a limited amount of energy. We have a limited amount of resources to allocate to all the different things in our lives. That's just a reality. If someone's there selling you on how you can have everything you possibly want in life if you just figure it out and time box everything and whatever, that isn't reality. We have limitations, and fighting those and pretending that they don't exist is only going to frustrate you and have you lamenting over the fact that I don't have everything sorted out in my life and all this, right? So the fact is, if someone is in a place where the most of their life is good, they're not horribly wanting in all these different areas, it's this one area. The struggle is to be able to reallocate their resources into their health and wellness project, something that requires them to spend more time on themselves or more time invested in learning what to do, just spending time on that, and that's going to have to take away from other things. But again, this is the thing. The point of this video, or the name of it that I wanted to sort of direct this video with is getting the best results that you can. And getting the best results that you can is going to be within those limitations, right? So if at the moment, you've just started trying to introduce this project into your life, you've just started trying to get those things involved, then there isn't a huge opening. Doing the most that you can do within that allotment of resources, that's the best result that you can get, right? It's not the best that your genetic potential is, or that, if you committed everything to it that you could get. But the fact is, you're just not going to do that, obviously, right? Yeah, so you're not going to let everything fall away so that you could achieve just that. That's not a good idea, right? So committing all that you can, all that you should, really, to this project at this point is the best result you can get. And then when it starts to become more of a priority, and you're fitter and you're stronger and you want more, and you're more able to commit more to it, then you will, and then you'll get more and more out of it. But the fact is, at any particular point, the best that you can get is the allocation of resources that you can give to it, right? Or should, or want to, right? Maybe you don't want to give that much to it. I don't want to let all these other things fall away in my life. Trying to over-allocate, trying to say, I want to achieve this particular, I want to have a six-pack and have, be the strongest person in the world. That's a way over allocation of resources to that. Dial it down to somewhere where this is realistic. This is what I can get. And then you can appreciate what you are getting from it, because it's the best I can get right now. And you can feel good about that, and because that's very important, to feel good, to generate momentum. Momentum is so important. When you feel that you're failing at it and you're falling short, and you're just feeling terrible about where you're at with it and how far you've come, then it doesn't motivate you to keep going. It's a momentum killer. So definitely, right, I'm saying understanding and accepting those limitations, and then working within them and getting the most that you possibly can from that amount, right? And then you feel that, wow, I'm doing well. I'm not in this fantasy version of where I wanted to be, but I'm where I'm realistically getting the best I can get out of this. So when people come in for the initial session, we'll talk about, what is it that you want to do? How many times you want to work out? What is it you think that's going to work for you? People's inclination is to say something like 6 days a week, 5 days a week, do more. What they think that they should be doing. But realistically, that doesn't fit. That's an over-allocation of time and resources. Working out an hour a day for 6 days a week. At this point in life, if there's a small opening, maybe realistically it might be only twice a week, maybe even once. If that feels like, yes, that is something that I can commit to and do the best I can within that period of time, and then that's where it needs to start if you want to be successful. Because if your goal is set at 6 days a week and you're doing 5 or 4, and then you're feeling like a failure, because you can't live up to it. It's not realistic. So yes, if you could commit to 6 days a week and 3 hours a day, then of course you're going to get better results. But if you can't, you can't. So feeling bad about that is just a little bit silly, right? So, it's like these are my parameters in life right now, and that changes. That's the thing. You don't have to accept that this is the reality forever, but you have to accept the reality of now. Otherwise, you're never going to get ahead. So, ironically, also, when you're actually doing the best that you can in any moment, and really accepting the fact that this is the best I can get, and you feel better, you end up being able to do more. If you accept where you're at, you feel better about it and are able to do more. So it's kind of that, by accepting where you are and what you can do, you're able to do more. Rather than overreaching and feeling discouraged, you're accepting of where you are and happy with where you are, and then you can just put one foot in front of the other confidently and move forward. And this whole idea is actually explored within the book. I don't normally swear. I don't know.
Say F.
Yeah.
I'll beep it out.
Are you gonna? I can say fuck or F, and then you beep it. So where this idea is explored a fair bit in depth is in Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, where he basically talks about how the subtle art is that we don't have unlimited resources. We can't care about everything. So we have to choose what to care about. We have to choose what it is that we're going to invest our time and energy into. So, and that is the subtle art of it. Is that when you spread yourself too thin, you actually don't get anything out of any of it. The most fulfilling life that you can have is by really making a choice and decide on that. Because if you just kind of let yourself just drift into these things, and you're just like, well, I guess I'm spending my time on these things now, and you spread thin amongst all of them, and you just feel like, I'm not getting anywhere in all of these areas. That's very deflating, right? So, and you don't get much out of anything. Another place where this is mentioned and explored in good depth and is a wonderful book is the 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. Again, that's talking about the limitation of our lives. We live for on average about 4,000 weeks, which sounds, quite small if you haven't thought about it before. There is just so much on the to-do list. The limited amount of time in our lives means we just literally cannot get to all of it. It is just not possible. There's too much to do and too little time in each week, in each day and year and decade. There's not that many of them. So we have to be selective. It takes like 10 years to get good at anything, really. And so when you think about that, when you really, really get good at something, it's taken about a decade, and you don't really have that many decades. You can't become a master at absolutely everything that you want to. So there are a lot of things you're going to have to just accept that I'm not going to be able to fully explore that to the degree that I would want to, because it would take away from these other things. And he goes into a lot more. But check it out if this idea is vibing with you. So I wanted to give you a practical framework that you could apply these ideas and this philosophy in your life. And it's from a book called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Fantastic book. If you haven't read it, you should. He goes into much more depth than we're going to right now, but I'm just going to apply it to this idea right here. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. So basically what that means here is that you got to be honest with yourself about yourself, honest with yourself about the limitations, about what you care about and what matters, right? And what's going to help you move forward. So being honest, really taking a strong look at yourself and your life and being honest about that. So the second agreement is to not take things personally. So once you've been honest about these limitations in your life, and within yourself, is to not take things, but don't take it as an insult. Don't take it as some sort of comment on who you are, your worth as a person, and what it says about your potential. Don't take any of it personally. It just is what it is. It's where you are right now, and it says nothing about where you're going. The third agreement is to not make assumptions. Don't make an assumption about what you can do, what you can't do, what's possible. To keep an open mind. Don't make assumptions about what any of that means about you or about the process or about anything. Just to remain open-minded, right? To not be constantly crushing the process with these assumptions. Is it good? Is it bad? Are we going? What's happening? So just open mind, right? And the fourth agreement is to always do your best. right? And this one is so freeing in the sense that it's like you just do your best, and that's different on every day, right? So one week it may be that other things in your life are demanding more of you. One day it might be, and that you have to allocate to that. So I've only got so much here. So it's not always do the best that is possible in your potentials, with ignoring all the other limitations. It's taking it all on board and just do the best you can do, right? So it also means just doing the best you can with the other three agreements. So, you be as honest with yourself as possible. And some days it's going to be harder to be honest with yourself or not. And not take things personally. Don't be making it all about you and taking it personally, taking it as insult. You're not going to be perfect at that all the time, but you do the best that you can. And not making assumptions about the process, about your potential, about whatever it means. You're not going to do that perfect all the time, but based on the psychological, emotional resources that you have at the time, you do the best you can with whatever the day presents, whatever that moment presents, right? And that's freeing because it's like, well, the truth is, how could you possibly do better than your best? If that's whatever the day presented this way for whatever reasons that it did, right? How could you do better than your best? You can't get any better than your best. Whatever, if it was a very little, if it was an extremely small amount today, even if it was backwards today, if it was the best you could do, that's the best you could do. Right, so how could you, what are you wishing for? You can't do better than that. And don't make assumptions about it or take it personally. So I hope this was very helpful. There's definitely more you can look into, more I could say about it, and you could read the books and get more and more and more out of that by doing that. Very, very good stuff. That's my video for today. I hope that really, really helped. If you enjoyed that, subscribe to the channel. Share it with a friend if you think they might get something out of it. Watch it again, right? Or watch something else, this one or this one, and get even more out of that. And I'll see you in the next one.